So this storm so far has performed, I would say, as advertised. Now, I know easing into the day on Wednesday, it took a little while before the actual main event came through. But when it came through, boy, did it come through with heavy rain, very strong winds, heavy snow. And now we're seeing some of the results of the first phase of this, but there's still more. Just want to point out really quick, we had our odds stacked against us, certainly for Southern California this year because it's a La Nina year. And we certainly see that play out with lower precip for both rain and snow in Southern and Central California. But for far Northern California, we've actually gotten very lucky because La Nina has actually done pretty well for us. And as we expected, more of the higher amounts for rain and snow compared to average have fallen in far Northern California. That's the one place that's still hanging out with 32 to 37 inches of rain in the bucket. And for them, that's actually still way above average for the season so far. But still, clearly Southern California needs a lot of work. We're doing okay in Northern California, and we're about, I would say, one big storm away from getting back to even. Now, this storm is helping, and some of the numbers have still not even come in yet to actually improve these numbers. We'll get more new information later on between 5 and 6 p.m., so I think they're going to get better, not worse. But overall, what we're looking at is still lagging behind. The reservoirs are still in good shape when you take a look at all of them and average it out. Still 115% of average for federal, state, and local reservoirs. So we're doing okay, but we want to round out the end of prime rainy season with these. This is what's going to make up the difference. These are atmospheric rivers. You've heard a lot about this over the last several years. And what you're looking for is low pressure tapping into some more moist air that really improves the amount of moisture that you can tap into for both rain and for snow. And those bring your totals way up, and that makes up more significant ground. Sunday to Monday, we have some version of that happening. This is after the storm that we have today. And then going into next week, it's at least in the area. So we like to see an active pattern remain. And when I show you later on where we're going over the next 8 to 14 days, there are still signs of life, even though I think we're going to hit a little bit of a lull going into next week. The task at hand is this. It is still a weather impact alert day. A lot of stormy conditions. Now, when I take a look at the live radar, you're going to see a whole lot of things starting to calm down. But remember, when you're right in the middle of this, sometimes you take breaks. The heating of the day actually fires things back up for snowfall rates, for the possibility of showers and thunderstorms. So even though we're seeing some sunshine, it actually, again, starts the whole convection process, which is really what we're looking at today. Convective showers for both snow and for rain. And at the top end, we could be looking at some thunderstorms late in the day, which includes rain, lightning, gusty winds, and also some hail. This is all still possible throughout the rest of the afternoon. Mostly what we've seen so far this morning and early afternoon is going to be related to low snow conditions. We've got chain controls in place. We saw a lot of crashes last night. It was just a mess. And we're going to remain cold through the rest of the day. Even if the sun pokes out, we're still only going to see highs in the low to mid 50s. And we still have the possibility for valley rain that's going to be heavy at times. But the duration, we're not going to see hours of heavy rain like we saw yesterday with that main front pushing through. We're just going to see spotty periods of rain. This is what we've recorded so far. Pretty solid. We were looking at anywhere from ½ an inch to about an inch of valley rain. We've seen a lot of the numbers mostly resemble that. But remember, we still have today and part of tomorrow as well. And I think we really will get closer to that 1 inch rainfall total later on. I just don't want to lose sight of the wind that we saw yesterday. That really was the peak of the storm as far as how it affects you and how gnarly it was, because it was raining hard and we had wind gusts all across the valley in the 40 to 45 mile per hour range, and then even topping 50 miles per hour at the International Airport for Sacramento and Stockton as well. This kind of wind with very heavy rain and also snow as well. It was very gusty when the snow was falling. That's really bad driving conditions. That just made it super nasty outside. And we're starting to see the nature of how we're getting our rain change a little bit. So through today, notice there's lots of little sun icons there. This is a mix of everything. Clouds, sun, some light rain, up to a few showers and thunderstorms. And that's going to be the case for most places. It gets a little bit more consistent once you get into the lower foothills. That's where it's more clouds and a mix of sun and rain, rain and snow. And then higher elevations, obviously, it's a cold one today with that really light, dry snow and heavy snow that's really stacking up in inches. So this is what our plan is for today. A few spotty showers mixed in with some sunshine. That sunshine actually fires up the whole process to get thunderstorms, so watch for that late this afternoon and early evening. The low Sierra snow has been 3,000 feet at times. It's going to go potentially even lower tomorrow because we've got one more bonus day on Friday with valley rain and Sierra snow. And the reason why is this. This is the end of the system, and that's where high pressure can wedge in just a little bit, giving us one dry day. But we still have all of this to get through. We've got this today and then this section of it tomorrow, and then we should start to see some more clearing. So what we're experiencing right now in the Sierra is some light to moderate snow. It's continued snow. It's gray up there. We've got some lower snow again down to about 3,000 feet, if not lower. And then we just have to keep an eye on all of the extra new showers that are trying to keep going. Mostly it's centered along where they have a little bit of help for the coastal range. That change in elevation really does help the lifting process to get anything out of the potential that we have out there. Right in the heart of the valley, it will struggle. But like I mentioned, that the heating of the day really will set the stage for those convective showers and or thunderstorms later on this afternoon. So that's the bottom of the trough. This is basically the peak area of low pressure. And then we'll start to see things change hour by hour as we move through the day tomorrow. As far as the wind, for the next 12 hours, not too worried about it. But once we get to Friday, as that last little chunk moves in, it will get gusty at times starting in the morning. It will peak in the early afternoon with 20 to 35 miles per hour as far as your strongest gusts, and then it should leave us as the system starts to wind down for your Saturday. So there is a little bit of wind, but nothing compared to what we saw during the peak of it on Wednesday with those 35, 40, 45 mile per hour wind gusts. We'll take you through this hour by hour. What's left here is just a whole lot of clearing late in the afternoon. Then look at tomorrow. It's just, again, more of the same, on and off, lower snow levels. Can't rule out a thunderstorm on Friday as well. This is your thunderstorm forecast for Thursday. What's interesting about this is that the instability is so widespread that you could get a random thunderstorm that comes in off the water in Point Reyes or the Bay Area. Maybe you get something firing up as you start to see it move up through some of the coastal range hills in the Bay Area. We could get stuff firing in the middle of the afternoon to early evening, right in the middle of the valley. It tends to start in the middle of the valley and then really get going on the east side of the valley. And some of those will hang on and actually move through colder environments where we could get a random thunderstorm with snow. We call that thunder snow. That is possible today. It's more of a novelty than anything else, but it does increase the snowfall rate. So watch for all of these scenarios playing out through the rest of today. We're right in the very heart of the dynamic system, this cold winter storm that has some life left to it. As far as what we can expect from today through the day tomorrow, up to, I would say it's going to be on the low side of this, but up to ½ inch of precip below the snow line. We could get a little bit more. Above that, we're still looking at some solid snow. Some of the other models like the Euro like about half of that earlier scenario. So we've got some variation there, but as far as what you can expect, we are going to get some more rain, some more snow, and then we're going to start a clearing process, but only for one day on Saturday. Hey, let's just go ahead and run it out to almost the end of the month. Are we still going to remain in a cooler pattern and wetter pattern? Yes, it's certainly looking like that. There's going to be moments where things dry out for several days in a row. I think that's going to happen toward the beginning of next week. But as far as the overall pattern, we're not going back to, at least for the next week or two, a huge wedge of high pressure, a giant ridge that blocks everything. That is not looking likely. So even with the warmer, drier pattern that's trying to sneak in here, I think even after that, we could go back to some more showers and just adding more rain, which, as I showed you right off the top, we certainly do need. As far as the weather impact alert day, it's going to be one more day, which is today. I'm just not too concerned about the extra precip that we're going to see on Friday in the valley. It's very spotty and it's very light. However, in the Sierra, we could add another additional 6 to 8 inches of snow during the day on Friday. So any winter driving conditions will still exist in the Sierra. So more of an impact there. And I shaded that in red for the Tahoe forecast. I'll show you that in just a second. Some drying there on Saturday. We get a Sunday night to Monday storm adding more rain and more snow. And then we should see at least a few days in the middle of next week that we're going to start to see some clearing and drying out. This is what the ski resorts reported early this morning as far as snowfall totals. Very healthy, very solid. And what's interesting about this, if you looked at the rain totals, they weren't that much, ½ an inch. How do you go from ½ an inch of rain to 2 feet of snow? It's all about the quality of snow. It's about the dryness of the snow. And most directly, it's related to this is a cold system. The colder the air, the more air you get between snowflakes. And so you get this light, dry, fluffy snow that when you measure it in inches, it really stacks up. But it's really light, dry, fluffy. Call it cold smoke powder in the mountains. And this is really great for skiing and snowboarding. It's not the heavy, wet Sierra cement sometimes that you get with more warm systems. But here's something very interesting. We're starting to approach really key numbers at the very end of our prime snowpack season. So again, if you don't care about ski resort totals or anything like that, we are now finally back to 100% of average for the Northern Sierra and nearly 100% full snowpack for the Northern Sierra. All it would take is essentially one more storm. We've got one more storm. Now for the Central and Southern Sierra, we're lagging just a little bit behind for average to date as well as full snowpack. But you know what? Like I mentioned, we are still looking at some pretty quality moments to get more snow in the Sierra both today and tomorrow and Sunday to Monday. So the statewide snowpack averages are really looking pretty good. We're now more than 80% of where we should be by the 1st of April, and we still have a couple weeks to go before we get there. Here's the additional snow for your Thursday. You throw in Friday. It is going to be solid, probably about a foot of snow between right now and when things wrap up by Friday night. So with that said, eyes go back to the people that want to enjoy what we have here in the Sierra. Chain controls are very likely during a prime period of travel, which is going to be Friday after work. It's also very possible that we're going to have that continue through at least Saturday morning and then maybe coming back Sunday afternoon, and maybe they'll keep it up the whole weekend. So the bottom line is to get to the mountains, you're going to need chains this upcoming weekend. You want to keep them around because getting back from the mountains is also looking very likely that we're going to start to see chain controls coming back. One extra moment here that is worth discussion. On Saturday, that is going to be your prime skies clear, feet of fresh powder, bluebird day. This is no secret. This is going to be absolutely very busy in the mountains. And for skiing or snowboarding or even snow play, you're going to have tons of cars, very limited parking, if any parking possible at all, because the amount of snow reduces the parking spaces because they have to use it for snow storage, and they're just not having everything cleared all the way. So just parking probably is going to be your number one issue along with traffic on Saturday. If you're a day tripper, watch for that reality. Then on Sunday, the temperatures do come up just ahead of the rain switching back over to snow with the lowering snow level. So Sunday, a little bit of rain mixed in, but it goes back to cold snow by Monday, and then we're going to see some warming going into next week. So from the huge perspective as far as La Nina to where we are, what we need, what we're getting, what to expect the next couple of days, as well as your snow forecast for right now and for the weekend, we've pretty much covered it all. Remember to keep it here on ABC 10+. We'll have live radar and updates throughout the course of today, along with some explanation videos to go behind the snowpack and also what you can experience and understanding the watches and warnings and advisory systems from Monica Woods. That's going to be playing all day long.